Something shifting, something you can't ignore. Scientists have tracked it for years, watching the sun, measuring its pulses, waiting for the moment it turns. But they're not shouting about it. Not yet. What if the tech you lean on every day, your phone buzzing, your lights flickering, your whole routine, flickered out for a moment? Not by chance, not by design, but by something bigger, something natural, something we've forgotten to respect. You've sensed it, haven't you? That hum of fragility under everything. That quiet unease when the power dips or the signal drops. The world's not as solid as it seems, and deep down, you've always known that. Most don't feel it. They're too busy, too plugged in, too distracted. But you're here. You're listening. Stay with us, because by the end of this, you'll see what most won't, and it'll change how you look at everything. Every 11 years, the sun wakes up. They call it the solar maximum, a surge of energy, flares bursting out, tearing through the silence of space. Usually it's just a quiet hum, a ripple we barely notice. But sometimes it's louder, stronger, unpredictable. Rewind to 1859, the Carrington event. Wires sparked and melted, skies glowed with eerie light, systems stuttered and stopped. Back then, life was slow, no sprawling grids, no satellites, no digital heartbeat tying us together. They saw it as a wonder, a glitch. Today, we're wired into everything. Every home, every city, every second of your day runs on a thread of tech so thin it could snap. And 2025's lining up to be the next peak. Scientists see it coming, a cycle turning over, a rhythm we can't outrun. But this time, it's not just lights dancing in the sky. This time, it could touch us. Reach into the systems we've built and remind us how small we are. Why does it feel like no one's talking about it? Why do the headlines skip this part? Think about that for a second. What aren't they saying? Dig a little. You'll find it. In 2023, they ran a test, Blackout 2025, a simulation tucked away, hushed up, asking what happens if the sun throws a curveball we can't catch. The details? Hard to pin down. Reports stay vague, locked behind jargon and closed doors. But the whispers say it showed cracks, grids faltering, satellites wobbling, everyday tech blinking out like a candle in the wind. Look around. Some are prepping quietly. Engineers tweaking systems, shielding satellites, people with means stashing off-grid gear, not out of panic, just caution, a step ahead. Meanwhile, most of us, still scrolling, still blind, still assuming it'll all hold together. Ever notice how the ones who know the most say the least? How the quiet ones seem to move first? If they're thinking ahead, why aren't we? What don't we see? Pause on that. The clues are there, scattered, subtle, waiting. You just have to look up from the screen long enough to spot them. Imagine this. You wake up, the room's still. Your phone's dark, no hum, no buzz, no life. You tap it, nothing. No maps, no messages. You check the lights. Dead. ATMs down the street. Empty screens staring back. The internet. A ghost town. It's not chaos yet, just quiet. Unnerving quiet. Then it creeps in. Flights can't take off. Markets stall mid-breath. Groceries sit stranded in trucks with nowhere to go. Modern life doesn't flex, it freezes. One flare, one pulse, and the whole machine stutters. In 1859, they bounced back fast, rewired a few lines, shook it off. In 2025, could be days, could be weeks, could stretch longer than anyone wants to admit. Because every gadget, every wire, every signal you take for granted, it's all more delicate than you've ever stopped to think about. Ever wonder how much you rely on it? How off balance you'd feel if it vanished? Most don't. They live like it's permanent, like it's invincible. But you're starting to see it, aren't you? That thin line between order and silence. What would you do if it crossed? How long could you last? Here's the twist. What if this isn't random? Not a plan, not a scheme, just a moment that changes things. A crack that shifts the weight of the world. A big enough flare could tilt it all. Systems reboot, priorities shuffle, the rhythm of life skips a beat. Not because someone's pulling strings, but because nature doesn't care about our schedules, our plans, our illusions of control. It just happens. History shows it. Big moments spark big turns. The floods, the quakes, the storms, they rewrite the rules every time. Is this one just the sun doing its dance? Or a chance for everything to reset in ways we can't predict? You're not supposed to linger on that. Most don't. They'd rather scroll past, stay numb. But you're here, turning it over in your mind, wondering what's on the other side of that pause. Most won't see it coming. They'll roll out of bed expecting the usual, power on, screens glowing, life ticking along. They'll trust it all works like always because that's what they've always done. But you're here, peeling back the edges, spotting the threads others miss. So ask it, what happens if it stops? If the hum goes quiet? If the tech we lean on blinks out for a breath or longer? What happens to a world that's forgotten how to function without it? It's not about fear, it's about noticing. The ones who get through aren't the loudest or the richest. They're the ones who looked up first, who saw the ripple before it hit. They'll call it overthinking. We call it waking up. And waking up, that's your edge in a world that's sleepwalking. The sun's not the story. It's what we've built on top of it. This fragile web of wires and signals we've convinced ourselves is unbreakable. A house of cards pretending to be stone. Most won't question it. Too busy, too distracted, too comfortable in the hum of it all. But not you. You've felt the shift. You've seen the pattern. You've caught that flicker of doubt when the lights dim or the connection lags. Now it's yours to carry. Step back from their noise. Look closer. Think ahead. Because this isn't a warning, it's a heads up. A chance to see what's coming before it lands. Most will sleep through it, trusting the machine to keep spinning. But you don't have to. If this clicked, don't stop now. Subscribe, keep digging. Because what's still out there, it's bigger than this. Drop "I noticed" in the comments if you're with us. Let's see who's paying attention.